It was a trial that both riveted and repelled an entire country. Number 8211, an alleged serial rapist and killer who chased virgins with the help of his wife Karla Homolka. It would finally be a close-up of the twisted killers of Barbie and Ken, Carly Curls and the King, whose beauty and suburban facade masked a monstrous team. Paul Bernardo, on the left, and Karla Homolka on their wedding day in June 1991. File photo post media moved from St. Catharines to the Toronto courthouse at 361 University Avenue. The 4-month proceeding took place in the cavernous courtroom 6-1, which is packed daily with spect. In mourning for the girls, the Toronto Sun trial was covered by a team of experts, led by the late columnist Christy Blatchford, which included court artist Pam Davis. I now remember memories that I must have blocked. Oh yes, there have been difficult days in tears, recalls Davis. At the heart of the Crown affair were the brutal graphic and brutal videos the evil duo recorded on their repeated sexual attacks on Mahaffey, the French and even Homolka's drugged sister Tammy. Kristen French, on the left, and Leslie Mahaffey were murdered by Paul Bernardo. File photo post media homemade porn movies. Number 8211, the murders were not videotaped. Number 8211, had Bernardo posing as the king and asking his terrified captives to smile for the camera as he raped them in tea. Email protected. Presiding over the trial, Associate Chief Justice at the time, Patrick Lesage, ruled that each time one of Bernardo's victims was in front of the camera, the public monitors would be turned off and on. And how painful it would still be. We could hear the videos but obviously we couldn't see them. I will never forget the music played there, the throbbing music, over and over again, recalls Davis. Marianne Boucher, former designer of City, caught me at lunch and we bought earplugs. It saved us. Serial killer Paul Bernardo, right, has been the envy of Laurie Cogan's. Post-media many members of the jury would later need advice. Even Lesage would burst into tears years later during a speech and admit that the horror he had seen in these explicit recordings had never left him. The only person in the courtroom who seemed to enjoy watching each image was Bernardo himself. The first question everyone usually asks John Rosen is how he could have agreed to be the devil's advocate. Initially, I said no, I had other business to deal with, recalls Rosen, who has just marked 50 years as a criminal lawyer. But then he reconsidered number 8211, in part, because he had watched the fiasco of the O.J. Simpson trial with growing dismay. I wanted to do my best to move the matter forward in a way that would pay tribute to the justice system we have so that we do not take a black eye as the Americans were doing, he declared. Rosen inherited 6 8mm videotapes hidden by Bernardo's previous lawyer, unprecedented media interest and a star Crown witness number 8211, Homolka number 8211, who had been allowed to secretly plead guilty to Ma. Karla Homolka file photo post media. It was a pretty high-profile case, Rosen admits with some understatement. Regarding the case itself, I was just doing my job. I tried to suppress all the background noise and focus on the only audience that interested me, the 12 jurors. His strategy, of course, was to pin the murders on Bernardo's ex-wife. Davis remembers Rosen's 7-day cross-examination on Homolka as the only entertaining part of a grim trial. You saw both sides of Karla number 8211. As a witness for the prosecution, she looked like a schoolgirl, wise and gentle. But when Rosen got up, it was that dirty, naughty thing that was going to tear him apart. Surprisingly, Rosen has a more benevolent attitude towards Homolka number 8211, long released from prison, married and with 3 children number 8211, than most of the public. I think she was more guilty than she claimed. But it was then and it is not now, said the lawyer. I think the person he was at the time may very well be very different from the person he is today. And Bernardo? I always said publicly, and I mean, he was a very good customer, said Rosen. He worked closely with his legal team and he was fairly rational and pleasant enough. He laughed when asked if he liked him. I never get personally involved, he insists. I will say that I didn't hate him. Looking back, Rosen is proud of how the system works. And he will never forget Bernardo's words about him a few moments after his conviction. He leaned over and said, "Well, John, I want to thank you. At least I feel like I got a fair trial," recalls Rosen. And it was one of the greatest compliments I have ever received. Lesage spoke on behalf of a shaken nation when he sentenced Bernardo to life in prison without parole for 25 years. "You never have the right to be released," said the judge. But he always tries. Now 55, Bernardo's first candidacy for parole in November 2018 saw French and Mahaffey families dragged back to witness the murder of their daughters.